Hey, y'all. Happy Friday. It is Juanita Coley, the Contact Center Whisperer. Listen, if you're here with me live, housekeeping, if you're here with me live, type in the chat. Let me know you're here live. Don't be like that, okay? Let me know you're here live so I know you're here live. And one, I know that my mic is coming through and you can actually hear me. So if you are here with me live, type it in the chat. Type it in the chat and let me know that you're here live, okay? If you're catching this on replay, let me know you're catching me on replay, okay? So I wanted to talk about this really quickly because this is a question I get asked even when I posted the poll. So I have a poll up right now about the common challenges that you have with your WFO tools, right? Whether it's speech, whether it's quality, DPA, any AI tools that you're leveraging to optimize your workforce, whether it's workforce management, it doesn't matter. Okay. So that's why I said WFO. Okay. We're talking about holistically. And I asked the question. So if you haven't seen the poll, make sure that you go take the poll because I'm interested. I asked this question before, I got an answer, and I'm interested to see if anything has changed when I asked this years ago to now. So I'll let you know what the answer is after the poll is closed. But someone said, well, adoption and implementation, because I put those in two different categories, are the same thing. And implementation and adoption are not the same thing. Neither is optimization. So we have implementing a tool, we have adopting the tool, and we have optimization of the tool. Okay. And so when we're talking about implementing, so first we purchased our tool, right? And then we implement it. Generally, when you're implementing your WFM solution, your quality solution, your AI solution, whatever the tool is, you go through professional services from the technology company and they help you to implement it. So we are talking about integrating the data sources. We're talking about making sure it gets implemented, it gets stood up in your environment. Because many times you have to do things to make sure that it actually, you don't just turn on the button and it works, right? I got to integrate the WFM tool or the ACD with my WFM tool, or if AI, I got to figure out what the workflows are going to be, all the things. So implementation is really kind of like the nuts and bolts of standing or taking the wrapper off of the gift that you just purchased. Okay. That's implementing the solution inside of your environment. And then we have adopting the solution. So now that it's in your environment, right? Amazon has dropped the package off at your house. You've opened up the box, right? You bought a blender off of Amazon. Amazon has delivered the blender. You brought the blender in the house, opened it out of the box. You took it out of the box and you set it on your counter. Now you have to adopt it. The family has to now start to use it. Otherwise, you just got a blender sitting on your counter, taking up counter space. Right. So if nobody's using the blender, you haven't adopted the blender into the environment. And so you have these solutions that are sitting inside of your organization that have not been fully adopted. They haven't, been adopted and brought into the processes and the culture inside of your organization. And that's for a number of reasons. It could be process reasons. It could be it wasn't a good culture fit to begin with. But you usually see that with underutilization of the tool. And so you'll buy a tool, you bought it for a very specific purpose. You're using 20% when you could be using 60, 70, 80% of the tool. So we're talking about adoption and utilization in this vein. And then the last vein, optimization, is now saying, okay, how do I make sure that we're optimizing the tool to make sure that we're getting the best use out of this particular tool? We're getting to ROI. We're getting full utilization out of the solution. So you have implementation, you have adoption, and you have optimization. Three different things that need to occur when you purchase your AI solution, when you purchase your WFM tool, when you purchase your speech tool, when you purchase your quality tool, when you purchase any AI solution. There are things that need to occur. It's not just good enough to, sign the SOW, buy it, and get Amazon to drop it off at your front door. If you never bring the package in the house, the blender is not going to do you any good. So you're going to say, oh man, Amazon gave me this raggedy blender. It doesn't work. No, there's nothing wrong with the blender. You got to bring it in the house, sweetheart. You got to bring the blender in, right? And you actually got to plug the blender up to the electricity. So if your lights are off at your house because you didn't pay the electricity bill, you can't say to Amazon, oh, I'm returning this blender because it don't work. No, it requires electricity. Blenders require electricity unless you got a battery powered blender, right? And so when we think about implementing the solution inside of our organization, that's generally what you get with professional services, and technology companies typically provide that, right? So you're buying the solution, you're implementing it into your environment, you're plugging it up to the wall. I'm using analogies here so that it will be easy for you to understand. Okay, so I'm talking about blenders. You're plugging this blender up to your wall, but if you don't have no power, all right, then you can't even move to adoption because you don't have the necessary requirements for this blender to work, which is electricity. Okay, so this is where now this impacts adoption. So because you didn't have the necessary requirements like electricity, now you can't fully adopt the solution. So you brought it in, you unwrapped it, it's implemented, but now you go to plug it in, you realize, oh man, my lights are off. Or this power, let's not be drastic, right? Just this outlet doesn't work, okay? The outlet doesn't work. So now you're like, oh man, the blender doesn't work. No, the blender works fine because when you go plug it up to another outlet, the blender turns on just fine. The blender's working just fine. It's that outlet that's not working. And so then if that is the only outlet that's in the kitchen, then that's going to impact what? It's going to impact your adopting that particular blender because we're probably not going to use our blenders in our bathrooms, right? And so people are not going to go and take the blender in the bathroom. It's meant for the kitchen. It's a kitchen appliance, right? So we have implementation, adoption, and then optimization. Making sure that we're getting good utilization out of the tool. And so these are some of the common challenges post buying the solution that people have when implementing, adopting, and optimizing solutions to fit and meld inside of, integrate inside of their organizations. And so I wanted to add that layer of color. Okay. Again, if you're here with me live, let me know. I can't see the comments right now anyway, but I go back and read them after the fact. But if this was helpful, I hope this was helpful to you. I want you to start to think about this as you are making your planning and you're making your purchases around, okay, how are we going to implement AI into our business? How are we going to implement this WFM solution into our business? This means a lot of times you have to create change management, which means you need a change champion or governance, data governance around, okay, what data is coming in the tool. It's so many different things that you need to be considering if you want to get out of just implementation, right? Opening up the box. And you want to get into a full adoption and optimization. So many things that you should be considering. I don't want to belabor the point because this is supposed to be a quick LinkedIn rant, but I hope that this was helpful for you to consider, especially since I got the question around implementation and adoption being the same thing, and it didn't make sense for me to break that out on the poll. It most certainly makes sense for me to break that out on the poll. And so hopefully I gave you some clarity on the differences between implementation and adoption, and even further optimization. Okay, this definitely drastically impacts. Optimization is definitely going to impact your ROI on the tool if you're not fully adopting or optimizing your solution. So again, I hope that this was helpful. If you have other questions that I can answer for you or add clarity, I would love to hear what those questions are so I can answer them here. Until next time, go be great and make impact. I'd love to talk to you soon. Bye.